My younger cousin was stressed about college applications and asked for advice, and I jokingly said, just apply to every school you can spell correctly. And he took me seriously and literally applied to 47 colleges based solely on whether he could spell their names and got accepted to 23 of them and chose one because I joked about it, and my aunt called me saying I'd given her son terrible advice. And I said it was a joke, and she said a joke that he took seriously. And honestly, I felt terrible, but also confused about how someone took spelling-based college selection seriously. My cousin ended up loving the school and excelled there and thanked me at his graduation for the best advice he'd ever received. And I said again it was a joke, and he said jokes can contain wisdom. And I said no, this one really didn't. And he said I'd freed him from overthinking by giving him a simple criterion, and honestly I didn't know how to argue with someone who'd succeeded by following advice I'd made up as a punchline. And my aunt apologized for being angry and said maybe I was secretly wise, and I said I absolutely was not. I just said something random. But the story spread through my family, and suddenly everyone started asking me for advice, and my girlfriend asked about her career, and I jokingly said, pick the job with the weirdest title because those are the interesting ones. And she became a chief happiness officer at a tech startup, and loved it, and kept thanking me for seeing what she couldn't see. And I said I was just being silly, and she said silly and wise are the same thing sometimes, and I said no, they're really not. And my friend asked about dating, and I said as a joke, just date someone whose name rhymes with yours because it's statistically memorable. And he met someone named Meg, whose name rhymed with Greg, and they're now engaged. And he asked me to be his best man because I'd given him the insight that changed everything, and I said it was a spelling joke, not insight. And he said I was being modest, and honestly, I'd created a reputation as some kind of wisdom dispenser, when really, I was just saying nonsense. So now whenever someone asks for advice, I explicitly say, this is not advice, this is a joke, before speaking, and people nod and then follow it anyway. And my brother asked about his thesis, and I said, just write about whatever makes you angry, as obvious nonsense, and he wrote a whole paper about parking enforcement and got published and dedicated it to me. And honestly, I've somehow become an accidental life coach whose methodology is saying random things that occasionally align with good outcomes.